What's the biggest tip you find that you're giving these guys in terms of avoiding injuries?
Avoiding injury. I was going to say biggest tip: pay your taxes.
Yeah.
And not only pay it, but set money aside. Like when you get your check, set 30% of that aside because they're going to take that.
Speaking of injuries, I mean, you've had an epic career, but you sort of fought on through injuries. Before Tough One, you had the broken arm, you went in the house. Looking back,
I'm 9 surgeries deep.
9 surgeries deep. So, looking back,
this knee is garbage, absolutely garbage. I'm getting another one.
Getting a new knee.
By 50, I'll have a new knee in my shoulder.
Looking back on your career, you retired sort of early. Do you regret sort of not taking
I'm
more time?
38, so what's early? You know?
What's late?
I had late is Dan Henderson.
Because we do have Mark Hunt's fighting at 41. He's looking good. Yeah. Do you think you could have gotten more out of your career if the body? Because I know you had some issues with your back.
So I was very dumb. I'm known kind of for being a hard worker, but the truth is I was very lazy at doing the things that make you better, at doing the rehab exercises. They're not fun. There's no adrenaline to them. At drilling, I didn't really like to drill. I drilled for like 5 minutes a week. So I would just fight all day, like 4 hours a day, whatever it was. I would just do it, you know. And that's not how you get better. That's a part of it, but that's how you get hurt.
Do you wish you sort of would have done something different in the past? Do you wish you would have focused maybe on just technique as opposed to going just for the heart?
I wish I would have changed everything. I would do it all different, and I'd probably do it all different, do it a different way, and then I'd be like, that's wrong too. I keep messing it up. I don't know. So it's an exciting. What realistically? 92, first UFC. This is a sport, 93. This is a sport, Denver, 93. This is a sport that is a little over 30 years old. Nobody knows what a training camp is supposed to look like for, you know, I equate it to the NFL because we're from the NFL guys are the best athletes. You got running backs train like running backs train. This is what they do. Nobody knows that. Like nobody knows for a guy with a wrestling background, like how should he train? Like he's supposed to work out X amount of time. You know, we do it by feel and by what we think, and you know, there's not a lot of measurable data on how we train. So we're really trying to compile like why are guys getting hurt? What are guys doing when they get hurt the most? Wrestling. Transitions. That's when you get hurt, transitions.
We've asked a lot of people, is there a way to go through a training camp and not sustain injuries? Do you think we will find that answer? Do you think maybe we don't have it now, but maybe 5-10 years?
You've seen the sport. The sport is, and I mean, and Melbourne, you want to be careful here, but the sport is a fight. It's the safest, the most safe way for a fight to take place, but it is, and I use this word knowing that it has a bit of a bad connotation, it is a dynamically violent sport. And a couple times a week, maybe once a week, you have to get close to that live, that speed, game speed we call it, you know? So there has to be some exposure to game speed. So there will always be some risk of injury. What guys have done is isolate, like something I've seen Connor do just from coaching the shows. He'll isolate and just train the one part. You know, train, you know, in the corner on the cage, and it won't. You know, he'll go live in that scenario, but when that scenario ends and there would be a transition, it's over. Does that make sense?
We were talking with Martin Campman on the show, and he was recalling some of the earlier training sessions at Extreme Couture. He spoke about some stories involving you, some crazy sparring sessions that he was involved in. Thinking back to those days, what were some of the craziest sparring sessions you can recall that you had in the gym?
Well, I just remember Randy. He hit pretty hard on the feet, which a lot of people didn't know. But he hit the sand on the ground. It's like he'd hit you like in a 16-ounce glove on the ground. He'd just kind of punch you. I was like, wait, what? We're doing this? Okay, all right. And then, you know, put me in Vanderlei. That was the biggest mistake. And then Gilbert Ivo. Don't work with people bigger than you. I did it right with Martin because I was just bigger than him. You know, he shouldn't have been working with me at that speed. Think about it. The first time I met Martin, we were kind of like working light. And the way he just kept coming forward at me, I'd already taken my hand wraps off and just had my gloves on. And he just kept coming forward, and finally I punched him, and I ended up breaking like my knuckle before a fight. And this was just like, we're kind of just drilling. And,
do you feel like some of your best fights were actually in the gym?
I've always said that. I've always said that. Yeah, when I talk to guys, I'm like, yeah, my best fights were had some really good fights, and not that many of them on TV.
Obviously, you were a UFC champion, but it was for one fight Rashad beat you. Looking back at that fight, you've mentioned before that you didn't have much confidence going into it. You didn't think you could beat Rashad sometimes.
No, I never said that. You got it wrong. It's
Quentin? Okay.
Quentin, I didn't think I'd beat. Rashad, I actually thought I'd beat.
Looking back on that fight, what do you think all these years later when you look back on it? Any regrets about it? What's the impression from it?
I don't regret it. Just you asking the question makes me annoyed and sad. I mean, that's kind of a dick question.
Apologize. It was a great title reign. So, one out of your whole career.
Regrets, man. I have a lot of regrets. But if I hadn't, if I'd done this, if I'd done that, and that's something I tell guys. Regret is the son of a bitch. Do things right the first time. This is the only chance you have. This is the only body you have. And I didn't understand that. I kind of lived my life in a Logan's Run lifestyle, dead at 30, and then you're dead at 30, you're retired at 34.
So let's be a bit more positive with this interview then.
Thanks.
Let's talk about the highlights. Let's talk about what are your favorite moments. What's your favorite?
Are we going to get to talk about like Melbourne and these fights too? Is this all
absolutely, but people love you.
If we're being honest.
But Australia's not bored of you. Australia loves Forrest Griffin. So they want to know quickly before we get onto the fights here. The highlight. What's the highlight in the UFC?
Second Bonner fight. So first, Mark Hamill, that was my Star Wars. That was it's unfortunate the apex of my career was the first fight of my career, but that's why I'm here. That's why I get to come to Melbourne and have an awesome vacation, and thank goodness it's the Octagon is now legal here, but I've spent a lot of money in your city. You're welcome.
Do you think you would have fought here? I know that you sort of tend
I would have tried not to.
Because you want to fight in Vegas.
What I tell guys is there's 3 fight factors: who, when, and where. For me, I didn't really care who, because everybody was pretty good. When, whenever, where, please Las Vegas. Las Vegas, a place where there's no state tax, and I literally live down the street. So, I didn't mind fighting in LA with a little state tax, but I would literally just drive, with a car full of stuff, to LA. So when I got to fight in California, that was actually always cool too.
You mentioned UFC obviously kicked off in '93. Now you saw the stadium as it's being put together for UFC 193 here in Melbourne. Possible 70,000 people in attendance. I mean, when you go out there and have a look at the sheer magnitude of the stadium and the event, what goes through your mind?
I don't know. When you say it like that, I mean, you're kind of pushing me to how far we've come. We've come a really long way. And just, I'm sure we're getting there. A caveat. My favorite story about Ronda, people ask me about Ronda and Dana more than anything else. And when in 2008 or 9, she was still at Strikeforce. She was at the UFC Fan Expo, and she was signing, and she stayed late, and she was great with everybody. And I'm staying late too. And the difference is, I was, kind of like turned off by that time. I was like, yeah, take a picture, do it, cool. And she was still like everything. And my friends were like, oh, look at her, look how great she is. And I said, all right, okay, we'll see. I've been doing this for a long time. We'll see her in a couple years. Sure enough, fast forward to 2004, the Fan Expo. She's still great. She's still staying late. She's still. I just think about, I know how much pressure I felt being one of the guys. There was always Chuck and EJ. There was always guys that were bigger than me. Really, nobody was bigger than Ronda. And at this point, she has a brand, a billion-dollar global brand, UFC, and a sport on her back. And a big part of, I think, for me, fighting in a place where you guys didn't allow cage fighting at the Octagon for so long is, look, here's an Olympian. You guys like the Olympics. You're good at it. So, of course, you would like them. Here's a judo Olympian, is a great person, is a role model for women everywhere. So she's got all that on her back, and she wears it well. She's still smiling. I just saw her getting out of bed. That's pretty impressive if you really think about it. And I know about 1/5 of the pressure she's under, and I sometimes was not graceful.
Well, give us your prediction. UFC 193, Ronda Rousey versus Holm this
You
weekend.
guys gotta watch my show, the rankings report, man. Come on, it's on there. I did a great job. I did a great job of giving my prediction on that show.
Maybe just a summarized version for the fans who didn't get a chance to catch it. I'm sure it was great.
It was. I mean, it wasn't great. It was mediocre. It might have been better than mediocre. No, it was horrible.
Classic Forrest Griffin.
You're not selling the show very well. No, that's the prediction. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win?
First of all, I don't make predictions. I give information, and the information I would give you would be that Holly Holm is a very smart fighter. She's a very large for that weight class. She's going to touch and move, and I think she would be fine with Ronda on the feet. I think at some point the fight will go to the ground, and I know Holly Holm might be the bigger, stronger person, like weight room strength, or she might be the bigger woman, but there's that Olympic level judo strength that and I've worked with some Olympics. It's just legit. I think at some point, and I hope it's not too soon, that Ronda will get her down and we'll see that. And that's I hate to say that because I like Holly Holm. You know what? I shouldn't do predictions. I work for UFC. I can't do predictions, but that would logically, right? If you break the fight down, what do you think? I don't know.
I would probably agree, but then again, we're not doing predictions here. We've already done our predictions.
I mean, it's a tough fight for Ronda Rousey, and it looks
I'm
like...
say Ronda Rousey, it may not be in the first round, maybe second, third round. And we're going to go a little bit longer.
Submission.
And if he gets out the first couple rounds, I think it might be on Holm's side as the fight goes on. So it'll be an interesting one.
Can she stick and move and touch and maybe land that head kick over the course of that 25 minutes?
I just don't think that Holly Holm is going to be able to sort of escape Ronda Rousey for those full 25 minutes. You got 5 rounds. I think at some point Ronda Rousey is going to close the distance.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Before we let you go, we have to ask you, when's the new book coming out? Because we love the first couple of books. Are there going to be some more Forrest Griffin stories that Australian fans will be able to check out?
Well, it's taken a while. I've been working on a third book for quite a while now. The thing is that I'm old and married, and I go home from bars at midnight, and I just don't have the same stories, And changing poopy diaper stories, just not drunken fight stories. So I'm pretty calm these days. So it's taken it's a long time to come up with material. Do we want to talk about Valerie and Joanna?
Well, let's do it quickly let's do it quickly because Joanna, obviously a big position on such a big card. What do you think about that? That's for the strawweights.
Well, I'm gonna throw this at you, and I know she's a heavy favorite. Joanna looked great against her last two opponents, which were a wrestling expert and a jiu-jitsu expert. They did not have great stand-up, even though she's long. She's not super quick for that weight. So she fought people that were desperate to get the fight to the ground. I think Valerie is maybe not as good, but is going to be comfortable standing with her and won't waste energy and mentally exhaust herself. Thinking, I have to get this fight to the ground. Kind of what people used to do with Anderson Silva. I have to get this fight to the ground. She'll stand and be comfortable and do all right. Joanna, man, how smooth does she look, right? She's one of those people, like, you watch her do her thing and you're just like, God, that is smooth. Like, that's the way it's supposed to be.
So predicting a bit of an upset possibly. You don't make predictions, you give information. It looks like it might be an upset.
I just gave some information.
Okay, all right, we'll take it.
Everything I say, I then come back and paper tiger. That's it, we're done. We're out of here. Thank you, Melvin.
Thanks so much for your time.
Stay safe, Melvin.
Cheers, thank you very much.